Damn, Ingenious made the beat?
Yo, family. Welcome to another episode of the Coach Life Podcast. I am your host, the casual one, the Prince of Positivity, Coach D. Join with me again, the guy that puts the pro in professional, Professor. Look at that.
Yay.
Coach Ryan. How we doing, sir?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's another good day, another positive day. So can't complain, man.
Man, this day cannot get any better, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
keep getting good news on top of good news on top of great news on top of great news. So really good positive day right now. So I'm feeling the positivity right now, partly because of our topic today.
Okay. What we got today?
The art of constructive criticism.
Ouch.
Right?
Just the word criticism, man. It hits, you know?
Why does it have a negative connotation?
Because I think that most people only know it negatively.
Ooh.
So when somebody says, "Hey, I got some criticism for you, and I need to critique you," it's almost like when you hear the word discipline, it just sounds bad. Like there's no good thing that can come from it.
Is it though?
It's definitely not, but I think that's just how we experience it mostly. We experience all the negativity without having enough positive balance to it.
And I think that, sir, is the premise of the show today, to talk a little bit about how us as coaches can provide that constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And then also how you can take that constructive criticism, right? Because it is an art in taking it just as much as giving it, right?
Absolutely. And man, you know what? I think I got a perfect segue quote to just jump right in. You mind if I just...
Oh, yes. Let's go right on over to the coach's corner.
Coach's corner. Come on in. The ball has been passed to me. Here we go. Again, Coach John Wooden. I mean, that dude, he's just dropping gems all over the place. Mm-hmm. He said, "A coach is someone who can give correction without causing resentment."
Man, how important is that?
Correction without causing resentment. So I can set you on the right path. I can straighten you out. I can, give you the proper correction or give you the proper details about what you're doing wrong. But I can do it in a way where it's not going to build resentment between us. It's not going to tear our relationship down. It's not going to make you, it's not going to harm us in any way. It's only going to build you up.
Right. It's almost building, like we talk about, building that foundation, right?
Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, it's also on the person receiving it to be able to take it well and not allow resentment to come, because you could hear it the best way possible, but if you don't want to hear it at all, you're gonna take it wrong.
Absolutely. And I think that's that goes back to taking that feedback, and I think really understanding where is it coming from, like what places is coming from. The person that's giving it to you, are they giving it to you in a place where it's to help, to grow, to shape, right?
Yeah.
Or is it in a way that they're trying to tear down and destroy?
Yeah, that's important, man. That's important. I almost feel like if you don't talk to me on a regular, if you don't have positive things to say to me or about me, then I don't want to take your criticism. I feel like relationship is a big to giving criticism. If somebody on your job doesn't speak to you at all,
right,
and then the only time that they come up to you is when they want to tell you something you did wrong, how you gonna take that?
Oh, absolutely. it seems like that's all I'm getting. That's the only thing we're looking at, right? You are
Yeah.
only looking at the negative things that's happening at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But if you got
Mm.
somebody who speaks to you on a regular, I mean, not saying that you got to have these hour-long talks, but you all interact, you have, conversations here and there. They tell you some things that are going well, then they're giving you some things that could be improved. You'll receive that better because there's some sort of relationship there. But you can have the best gym in the world, but if you're doing it from a negative place or from a place where there's zero communication, then it's hard to receive that.
I have to agree. I have to agree. Again, it should be in a place to improve performance, right? To
Mm-hmm.
build, again, going back to what you said, building relationships and then fostering growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what you should be utilizing that for.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we've seen on numerous occasions where somebody has taken that negative connotation of constructive criticism and have taken it negatively, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
in this in those cases when those things happen, what do you think is going through the mind of the person that's taking that criticism from that person?
There could be a multitude of things. One, it could be someone who already has a negative perspective about themselves.
Mm,
So if you lack self confidence, if you're already feeling down, or you have anxiety about your performance, or you feel like, man, I'm just not doing things right. If someone's to say, hey, let me tell you how you can improve this, you're already feeling a certain way about yourself, so it's going to be hard to take that constructive criticism no matter how nice they're coming off.
mm-hmm.
Then there are also people who feel like I'm doing everything right, so you telling me I'm doing something wrong, no, that's not me. I got this in the bag. Like, so I think those two perspectives are where a lot of clashes happen with constructive criticism. Either I lack the self-confidence to be able to receive it because I already feel bad, so I'm not going to be able to handle it well, or I feel that my abilities are higher than the output that's going out. So there's not a problem with my work. There's a problem with how you're looking at it.
Yeah, right. And I think you kind of hit on something that that people sometimes forget um, when they're giving their feedback to people. Like sometimes you got to remember that you got to be very specific and very
Mm-hmm.
objective.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be able to give specific examples to those individuals so they can know exactly what it is that they did right or wrong.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think that's something that's super important that some people forget. Is like just we tend to harp on the criticism as what you did wrong. We should also
Right. Right.
stuff that they did correct also, so that you can foster better behavior from those individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As somebody who's, been in a position to lead people consistently in corporate America or sports related, what are some examples of times you've seen that either you've observed it or for yourself personally given it, you've seen it go right and you've seen it go wrong?
Ooh, um, that's a great question, and it's funny you say that because I actually had a couple of examples of both.
Okay.
But I'll use corporate America first
Okay.
because I'm definitely in the thick of that right now. So um, I think one big way, and I seen this in a meeting. Obviously, I'll refrain from giving out names and stuff, but we were
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
meeting,
Yeah.
and in the conversation, I knew that the person giving the feedback to the other individual was not a fan of that person.
Okay.
So because they weren't a fan, they were
Yeah.
focusing in on that person's behavior and that person's personality
Okay.
as opposed to the action that they wanted to correct.
Oh man.
So when you start to muddy the waters with how you feel personally about
Mm-hmm.
somebody as opposed to getting them to see the right path and doing something maybe a little bit either correct or adjusting how they may do something,
Yeah.
you kind of need to make sure that you're looking at it from a very clear lens. Like
Yeah.
it should never be in a situation where you're giving them that feedback because you you dislike the person, or you have some kind of animosity toward that person.
Yeah.
So I've seen those type of situations where again, they were giving some really good feedback on what they needed to do, but how they delivered it totally turned the person off. And it was like, you know what, they're never gonna, go down the path we need them to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something on the negative side. On the positive side, I had a situation that was negative that actually turned positive after the conversation.
Okay.
And it went back to the respect level and the relationship that was built between me and the coworker.
Okay.
I had a situation where the coworker was having a very difficult time having conversations with their manager, and just really couldn't get through to them the way that they wanted to get to them. So I gave them some constructive criticism on how they were approaching the situation, because that was the reason why people stopped responding. But again, how you respond and how you address certain situations will definitely attract or repel people from engaging, more or less, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I gave this person that constructive criticism to let them know, like, hey, this is probably a better way for you to go about the situation. And the response that I got back, bro, was like, wow. Like, the response that I got back was, why do I need to be the bigger person to get this particular job done? And
wow.
It definitely stumbled me for a second, because I was like, why do you have to be a bigger person?
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't know how to answer that in the moment.
Yeah.
Because it was so dumbfounding to me. Because, and again, not the person, not calling the person dumb at all. I don't want to make it seem like that at all. It was dumbfounding because it's somebody that I have been mentoring to change the perspective, and to hear them regress their progression really made me kind of question, like, man, like, are you really understanding what it takes to get to where you're talking about getting to? So I mean, it kind of hit me a little bit hard. So I mean, at that point, I just had to take off the manager hat, put the coach's hat on at that point, and just kind of like just let them know, like, yo, this is the reason why you have to do these things. Like, just because you're obligated to help people understand how to be better. If you know a better way to do it, then give people that option and a way to do it better.
Yeah, yeah, man, that is wild. Why do I have to be the bigger person?
That sounds like a pod right there in itself, right there.
That's a whole series.
Why do I need to be a bigger person? I heard that and I was like, man, because I mean, I really don't think there should be an answer to that. Like, if you know better, you should do better.
Yeah, yeah, most deaf. And I believe that question, when posed a specific way, and the response that comes for that is really an indicator of where a person is.
Yes.
In their maturity, in their ability to learn, listen, to receive. Like, asking that question or responding to that question negatively is an indicator of where that person is.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I kind of want to piggyback off your question. What was the time you've seen that same situation where it's gone both negatively and positively?
The negative one that comes to mind, similar to how you said, when personal sentiments get involved, and I'm speaking to you in a manner and with some emotion that shouldn't be in the situation. If we're like, hey, in the workplace, this is something that you're not doing well, and then the response is, hey, that's your opinion. I think I'm doing it well. Well, you know what? You're not doing it well, and you're not doing this. And so now it gets off topic into,
Right.
let me give you a laundry list of things I don't like
Let me
about you.
get into the weeds, right?
Right. So again, when you're not able to separate um, performance and personal sentiments, personal emotion. I've seen that multiple times, multiple ways just go left. And then there are situations where I've seen somebody hold back from giving everything they could say.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, I'm not gonna fully dive in to everything, but I'm just gonna give you a little bit of it. I'm just gonna say, like, these are some areas of improvement. They say areas of opportunity.
That's a great way of framing it up, right?
you can dress that thing up real well. Here's an area of opportunity. Here's an area of growth for you.
Instead of hitting with a boxing glove, you hit
You
with
know,
a boxing bopper, right?
like, hey, this is where you messing up. Like, no, this is a growth opportunity right here. We need you to be stronger in your communication. We need your emails to be more presentable. We need your attire. Whatever the criticism is. A good coach, a good leader knows their personnel. So if you give this person a little too much, that could send them off the deep end, or that could make them shut down, or they're not going to respond well. Whereas somebody else, you'd be like, you know what? I can go a little, they can take it, and it's going to get the positive reaction from them.
Goes back to what you just said, bro, a few minutes ago about knowing your personnel, right? And and we talked about this in the very beginning of this pod. It was, again, that positive and negative feedback. I think again, balancing the positive and negative feedback, again, it's super important to know to be able to provide constructive criticism, right? But
absolutely,
very important to be able to balance both of them.
Yeah,
I think you got to look at the person and look at the scales of that person, right? The positive scale and the negative scale of that person. Like, how much positive and how much negative can this person take? Some people you can dump on. You can go in and say, look, here's all the stuff that I need you to do, and you just need to get it done. Like, I'm that person. You're like, if you give me a laundry list of things that you need me to get fixed, like, go ahead and dump it out. Let me hear it all, and let me figure out a way to sort this. Because in my mind, the way that I look at it is that I'm probably able to I can't even say the word right now.
Compartmentalize.
Thank you. God. I'm able to do that, right? Oh, jeez, man. I'm able to compartmentalize. I'm able, to do that for myself, partly because I'm able to maybe see the relation in what something that I'm doing wrong may fix something else that I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
For me, some people can't take that though. Some people can't hear, like, they can't hear 17 different things that are going wrong. They need to hear the one thing, and then from there they can take off.
Yeah, and like I said, again, a good coach, a good leader is going to recognize that, and then you say, hey, here's that one thing that we need you to work on. Now they get that thing accomplished, and then you can go back and say, hey, you did so great with that one. Let's work on these two.
Yeah.
Oh man, you need to knock these two out. Let's see if we can get to 3. And now you didn't work this person up to build up their strength or their capacities to where they went from 1 to 10, 15, 7, whatever that number is.
Right.
Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to dump 20 on you because I can take it, you should be able to.
Tasks don't look so much impossible at that point.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's funny because I was just talking about this with my wife, like, talking about like how much she's grown in the years and how much she's helped me grow in our relationship. So we talk about like having those difficult conversations, and again, we talk about being a coach, right? Even in the marriage sense, right? We got to coach each other sometimes in the marriage sense.
So
a lot of times there's going to be those situations where you want to say what could help that person, but they may not be strong enough to handle what you need to give them. So it's about breaking it up, you know, and making it a little bit more, making it a little bit bite size.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, we're gonna chop this thing up a little bit, little by little.
Right, exactly. We're gonna make it so that you can eventually get to having this discussion and not wanting to cut my head off.
Absolutely. That's not good for either one of us.
No,
that's not good for anybody. And and then on the flip side of that too, they in turn do that for us when it's things that we struggle with.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, yeah, come on, let's give me the crumbs first. Let's take this. Give me the small stuff. Let's build up on this, because there's always that shift of balance to where some things I'm strong in, some things she's strong in, and it's knowing how to shift in and out of that. And I feel like there can only be one strong person. There can only be one person receive it. No, you have to know when to shift and when to balance.
Absolutely. And then I think also too, it's funny that you do need to know when to shift and balance, and you also need to know when to be covert. You need to know sometimes when to pull off the ninja skills.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give you an example of this, and you probably have done this before. If you had a dog before, if anyone else to the pod before has had a dog, you probably, and they've gotten sick or whatever, you had to get them medicine. What's the best way to give a dog medicine?
Ooh, you put it in a treat,
right?
Stick it in some peanut butter, something that they really, really love.
Exactly. And everybody likes to call this the positivity sandwich. Right?
Yeah.
Or some people like to call it the ish sandwich. Right? So those are great segues to have good conversation with people that you respect, but you want to make sure that they understand that there's some areas that they can be better in and do better in.
Yeah.
But you also want to make sure you highlight some of those key factors to make sure that they don't lose sight of the stuff that they're doing correctly.
Absolutely.
Or the stuff that they're excelling in, right?
Yeah. Now, for you, what do you find more beneficial? Hitting them up front with the good or the bad? Or do you do the sandwich? Good, bad, good?
I think, honestly, you judge that based on the person. I fill the person out first before I have the conversation. First thing I do when I'll give you a perfect example. If it's something that I need to talk about with a brand new employee that hadn't had any problems, haven't had any issues, they make work orders incorrectly. Okay, that's something we can have a quick little conversation about. But I'm having it to you for the first or the second or third time, right? You're still new. I'm still not expecting you to be perfect at, right?
Right.
We can have some general conversation. So I might open it up with just, how are they doing, how they're adjusting, how are they feeling about the process. Again, maybe it's something that they don't understand about the process before I go right into, you're not doing this right. So I try to figure out first and foremost how they see things before we make comments about what needs to be fixed.
That's good. That's real good.
So I try to do that first. Now, again, there are going to be some of those occasions that there's a problem. And this is not the first, the second, the third, or the 19th time that we've had this conversation.
You know why we're here.
Exactly. You know why we're here right now. So in those situations, it's kind of like, okay, those I try to rip the Band-Aid off. Like I'm not even giving you the ish sandwich at that point. Like you might get the ish on a cracker. Like like you know what I'm saying? Like you need to know it's coming.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna serve it up to you somewhat nicely. Like I need you to know that I'm only bringing this to you because I want you to be better.
Yeah.
And I see an opportunity for you to be better if these things change. If these things don't change, these things are going to stop you from the growth that you're looking for. Yeah. And I always try to pin it back to something that they want, which is why I think it's super important to know, like you said in the very beginning, knowing your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what they want, you can't grow them to where they want to get to.
At all. At all. Wow, man. You said something real profound in that. You said, I'm only bringing this to you because I want you to be better.
That's it. That should be the
That,
reason, right?
that should be the main reason, the only reason. And I think when it's genuine like that, the person can feel it. Like, man, you're not really trying to call me out. You're not trying to tear me down. You just want me to be better.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people that can't take that. Like, what do you mean make me better? You don't understand. I am better. I am the A1. Like some people, yeah, you gotta knock some of those individuals down a couple pegs, but
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to, like you said before, and kind of to reiterate my point that I made earlier, offer suggestions for improvement. Instead of just pointing out the problems, be specific and suggesting how the individual can improve, right?
Yeah.
Like, what can you do to be better? Provide actionable feedback, things that they can actually do to change the behavior, so that they can something different can happen in the future, right?
Man, you didn't point it out 1,000 things that's going wrong, but haven't given me one solution.
Right. It's like that's something I really hate.
Yeah.
When it comes to feedback, like
Yeah.
I would I had a coach in high school. Who's ready for story time? No, I had a coach in high school that just got out of college, just finished playing college football, and his first year coaching high school football would give us some really good feedback on, how the game is played on a collegiate level. Would give us really good feedback on, how to, be prepared, so on and so forth. But really couldn't coach us as receivers, bro. Like he really wasn't a good receiver coach. And I mean that to say, like, yes, he knew the role.
Yeah.
But teaching it was just totally something that he couldn't do.
Okay.
He couldn't really make it relatable to us. So, like, example, we would line up and, like, I swear we would do like a false start drill for like a half hour. Like he would put the ball down and then like say hike like 45 times and then like try to make us push off our front foot. Like the importance of rolling off your front foot.
Okay.
I learned that in college as opposed to learning that where I should have learned it in high school.
Okay.
Like the importance of pushing off that front foot, rolling off, like literally that rolling aspect of rolling off the ball of your foot, off your lead foot when you're a receiver. I learned most of that in college, and I learned that from Coach Placey, our lineman coach. So, not even hearing it from somebody that is in the position that that should know the position couldn't give me the feedback that I needed, the important feedback, the actionable items that I needed to actually fix the issue that I was having.
Yeah. Wow. And he played football, correct?
Yes, he played football.
What was his position?
He was a wide receiver and a free safety.
Okay. So it's not so much what you know, but it's what you can communicate.
Man, doesn't that go back to communication to
the
first episode? It's like it goes all the way back to episode 2?
Yeah. Again. Like you have all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't translate that to somebody, it's not effective. You're not doing them you're doing them a disservice because you're expecting a lot out of them because you have a lot, but you're not giving it to them and making it relatable to where they can now take that and put it into action.
Right. You gave them a math test with no answers and incomplete questions. and telling them to figure it out from this point.
Oh my God. I just had a high school flashback. Because I had a math teacher. I'm not going to say her name. But she would give us homework for the chapter that we haven't gone over yet.
There you go. There you go. You figured it out, right?
So we would talk about chapter 5 in class. Then she would say, we're getting ready to jump into chapter 6. Here's the homework for chapter 6. And then we'll go over it later. What?
So this is an immediate fail.
Make that make sense. I barely got 5 when you explained it. You not going to explain 6 and then expect me to do work on it?
Well, that's her coaching method, right?
Yeah.
Coaching method is I explain 5. 6 has nothing to do with 5, or may have some kind of relation, but you're not gonna know it. No.
Figure it out.
Right.
Bring it back. Let me tell you what you did wrong. No, you haven't told me how to do it at all.
Exactly. And it brings me to my next point. Create a safe and supportive environment.
Man.
If you're gonna give feedback, of course, we know it's going to be uncomfortable for both parties.
Yeah.
And for those who give feedback on a regular basis, you cannot tell me that you don't feel some kind of way in having some of these conversations. Absolutely. In some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
It's difficult for both parties. So it's super important to make sure that you have a safe and supportive environment so that everybody feels heard and respected.
Yeah. I mentioned this earlier. Like, it's hard to give those type of criticisms or that type of feedback when there's no relationship. So as a leader, I feel like you have to go out of your way to cultivate those safe spaces before those conversations need to happen.
100%.
Like, I'm going to build a bond with you so that when I do come with some constructive criticism, you know it's coming from a genuine place and I'm not tearing you down.
Right. You know that person's being empathetic. They're listening. They're actively listening to you.
Yes.
Again, not listening to give you a response or listening to give you the answer that you want to hear, or listening to give you, or listening just so that you can finish talking, so I can tell you what I wanted to say. You know, they're giving you that time to avoid being dismissive, avoid being defensive, and give that quality feedback, right?
Yeah. I really feel like listening is an underrated tool to criticism, because if I come to you
to the jelly, bro.
Right. If I come to you with some constructive criticism, it should be a dialogue where I'm presenting to you what we need to discuss. Now I need to hear you for your perspective. Maybe there is something that I'm missing on the back end that I didn't see that you can explain to make it make sense, to where it's like, oh, now I understand why this is happening this way. But if it's all me talking, all right, now go fix it, we haven't really solved anything. I'm not even giving you, a proper chance to communicate your perspective, your end of it, so where we can meet in the middle on that.
Man, that's why I think it's important. And another underrated skill, not just listening, asking questions.
Yes.
I think that's one of the most underrated skills outside of listening is asking questions. People are afraid to ask questions, and I think that is to the demise of your growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Again, and it could be from past experiences where you've asked questions before and you were shot down, or you were belittled, or you hear people say, there's no dumb question, but certain questions that get a certain look where you like, oh man, that was dumb. Like, so some people get scarred, like, oh, nope, I ain't saying nothing. You ain't about to make a fool of me or any of that. So yeah, people, you can definitely shy away from that, but it is so crucial to growth. Again, coach, player, leader, employee, like, ask those questions, get an understanding. it helps you learn about that other person, or it helps you learn about whatever role you're in. Like, I can't operate in a role that I don't know about.
I agree. Also, too, this is to make you put your pride aside when you ask these questions. I
Yeah.
think that's another reason why a lot of people don't ask questions, is because I'm too
Mm-hmm.
prideful to have this conversation with somebody. Or I've said this before with my team, even with my team. You know, I work in dispatch for a
Yeah.
commercial refrigeration contractor. And we were in 47 states.
Yeah.
That alone, and then having different processes and procedures for different areas and different customers and different regions and all kinds of stuff, and just different contracts, like all this stuff that you gotta like consider. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff.
No.
Like, I gotta rely on my team a lot
Yeah.
of times to get me that information. I remember
Yeah.
filling in just a couple months ago, and I was working on a work order. I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Like, I had to
Right.
go look it up. And it's like, I had to go ask one of the dispatchers on the floor, like, hey,
Yeah.
what are you supposed to do with this one again? And they're
Mm-hmm.
looking at me laughing, like, you're supposed to be my manager. Like, bro,
Mm-hmm.
wait till you get this higher up on the chain. You got to figure out and remember all of this stuff that's going on, all these procedures and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I sue me. I missed one, right? I missed one. I didn't know how to work this particular one. But I think, again, like you said, asking questions is super underrated.
And it's for a good leader, a person that asks them questions, I think they should hold them in higher esteem.
Agreed.
You know, not that, oh, this person doesn't know, but this person, again, putting their pride to the side, like, look, I need to get this right. So I need to ask these questions to get on track. Not, oh, let me figure it out. And, you know, yeah, there are going to be times where you need to figure things out, but not at the expense of damaging something or wasting time.
Man,
Because, you know, it's in most cases, it's all about time and efficiency. So if I can ask this question and cut out a certain amount of time, let me ask this question.
exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you work in a time restricted industry, right?
Yes. Yes.
You led, again, nice little assist to the next point. Follow up and checking in. I think people don't do that enough.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have these conversations with people, like, how often, and I want you to think back on the last conversation that a leader, a manager, a supervisor, a mentor, whomever has given you some kind of feedback. When was the last time they followed up with you, and how quickly was that follow up?
I believe that follow up was, I say, about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was like a predetermined time too.
Oh, so you already knew this person was going to follow up with you within a
Yeah.
time frame, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's dope.
Yeah. We came to that conclusion because this person, I don't want to say was overbearing, but it was a bit, yeah, they were just a bit too quick. So it was like, we had this talk yesterday. You're coming back to me to tomorrow. I'm like, no, I need a little time to collect what was said, and now give me a chance to execute it over a few days. Then we can come back and reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it wasn't one of them things where it was like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'll have this all figured out. I was like, no, I need some time to practice this, to put it in place, to, you know, get an understanding for myself. And then I can be like, oh yeah, I've had a week of doing it like this. This is the outcome. So yeah, it was determined. So the first time, like I said, it was just a quick turnaround, which was too quick. And I was like, hey, can we meet in the middle on this? Can we, you know, give me a few days to, like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. So being able to even have that conversation was great, you know, because it could have been, no, we're going to do it like I said. And then that wouldn't have been, you know, ideal for both of us, because then I would have been in a worse off position,
right?
Not having the time to execute and the pressure of another check-in meeting or something like that. So
something that you don't feel ready to have, right?
Yeah. So if a good leader will, give those predetermined times, like, hey, let's allow this amount of time to go by, and then we can reconvene and discuss pros and cons, positives, negatives, what happened, what didn't happen, and debrief again.
I think it's important. Like you said, it is very important for you to give people that predetermined time, but I also think it's important for them to ask what is fair of a timeline. Like,
Yeah.
there may be some other circumstances that stops that person from performing the task or the duties that you may need to to measure, right?
Yeah.
So you, at that point, again, asking them and getting their feedback on it also is super important.
100%, man. Because a good leader knows that it's not just my way or the highway.
Right.
It's like, hey, this is what we can do, or this is what I'm going to need from you, but I'm also willing to hear your perspective on it and what we can do as well.
Absolutely, man. Again, man, it's just, again, after that feedback, you got to follow up with the individual. You got to see what how they're doing. You got to see what additional advice, support, guidance that you can provide them to help them get through whatever the situation that you're trying to help them navigate through. Again, it's going to show that you care. It's going to show that you're invested in that person and invested in their success and development. And I think that's the important key that helps you give more constructive criticism and harder criticism if you're able to build that trust and build that investment into that person.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it all plays in together. Like, you invest into them, they invest into their work invests into the team. It's so cyclical.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. One pod, bro. One pod, you're gonna get two story times. Look at this. When I got hired at Climate Pros, when I got hired, I remember the owner of the company, Todd, saying to me that one of the biggest things that he believes in, and I still believe this until this day, because it's the proof is in the pudding, bro. It works.
Yeah.
It totally works. You take care of the people take care of the company, and the company takes care of itself.
Wow.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Because like you just said a few minutes ago, it forces people, and again, maybe force is a kind of a harsh word, but it honestly, it forces you to care about the feedback of the company, the people. It forces you to care just generally more.
Yeah. Back to relationship building, man.
Yep.
If you know that relationship has been cultivated on care, love, support, yeah, you're gonna be more willing to put your care, love, and support back into it.
100%, bro. 100%. And I would say let's cap all of this off with one big thing that needs to happen if you're going to give constructive criticism. If you do all these things that we just talked about, or we just talked about, again, being specific, focusing on behavior, not the personality, not making it personal. Again, giving them the negative and positive feedback, offering suggestions for improvement. Again, being specific in those improvement points, creating a safe environment, a safe space for them, being supportive in that environment, and then following up and checking in on them on a regular basis. I think if you do all those things, you're on your way to being a really good coach.
Yeah.
But if you don't do this last thing, that whole house of cards is going to fall.
Wow.
Be consistent.
Yes.
Consistency is super key, again, when it comes to feedback. And I mean, it has to be, right?
Yes.
You don't need to wait until like a annual review or some kind of touch point that you have to have on a regular basis to give that feedback. Be consistent. Give it to them on a regular basis. Give it to them, every week, every day, every opportunity that you have to give somebody some constructive feedback to grow them. You should be seeking those opportunities to do it.
Yeah, because if I'm truly concerned about you and your growth, then those conversations are happening routinely and regularly.
Right.
I want to see you better. I want to see you improve. I want to see you at your best. And because of the type of relationship we can have those on the record or off the record, but it's going to be consistent.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Again, it is about being empathetic, being objective.
Yes.
And being able to give actionable suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're able to balance that, again, balancing those specific feedback, that you're giving, the positive and negative ideas, and then creating that safe environment for them and following up with them, you are going to grow and develop people not only personally but professionally. Like, you're literally going to be able to change people's lives if you're able to do these things.
Yeah. It's going to grow you, grow them. And then again, it's just a small side on the flip side, being able to receive that as well. Like, when you know where it's coming from and you know it's coming from a good place, from a good person, hey, receive it. Don't shy away from it. Don't feel down and defeated. Take it and grow.
Man, what do we say all the time about this pod, man? It's about the brand. It's about building your brand, right?
Yeah.
Take the feedback, grow from the feedback.
Yeah.
And be better from it.
Yes, sir. Wow.
I think this was a good pod, bro.
Man, this was some more of that audio gold, man.
Man, the Prince of Positivity need a refill, bro.
You know what? Let me go and hit that real quick, man.
I appreciate it.
You, man, I feel like the places that you have been put in is like a chess piece, man. It's been so strategic. It's been so intentional. It's been so timely. Like, you have really been placed in key places for your whole life, not just for you, but for other people, but also to your benefit. So the fact that you can do what you do, have the impact that you've had, lead the way you have, it's in its own way change the world. And when I say change the world, that means changing the people's lives that you come in contact with.
Man, I'm gonna have to second that, sir. Not even for myself, for you, because you said exactly what this pod is all about. It's about helping people be better, do better, and change their lives, right?
Yeah.
Giving people a different perspective and help them get to the next level. And you've been able to do that on multiple different levels with multiple different people in multiple different venues, bro. And it's amazing to see that this is just the start of it right now. Like, we're just starting this pod right now, and hopefully this has been able to help somebody out there, even if it's able to help one person. I mean, I feel like that's the whole reason for us to continue doing this pod, man.
Yes,
we're able to help one person understand their perspective a little bit differently and be better. Let's keep it going, bro.
Yes, sir. I'm all with it, man.
That said, closing thoughts, sir.
Oh, man. Hey, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. you know what you have to do. Just do it.
There you go. He on a Nike band right now.
Nike, man. Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it. Be better throughout the hardship. Be better throughout the hardship, even though it is hard, even though it is tough, even though it is challenging, even though it requires work, it requires effort. be better for it. Be better for it. It's only going to make you better. And at the end of the day, if you really truly cared, it's going to make somebody else better because you're doing it for yourself. Somebody else is going to be seeing that because everybody's watching.
Everybody.
We watching y'all out there, you know, in social media land. We watching.
I see. I see you.
We see you.
Right now, I see you.
Hit that like button and subscribe. Right now, we see you.
I'm watching. Do it.
Watching. Again, that'll do it for us here at the Coach Life Podcast. Again, if you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. If you want to hear more from your positivity partners. Again, until the next time, stay positive, my friends.
Yes, sir.